Today, we bring you the Western Athletic Conference Championship between the 20th-ranked Cowboys of Wyoming and the 6th-ranked Cougars of BYU. Huge stakes today, because if LaVell Edwards' team wins, they could get an at-large berth in an Alliance Bowl. And I'm Mark Jones, along with John Spagnola and Dean Blevins for the inaugural WAC championship game. Wyoming against BYU. Wyoming won the toss and has elected to receive. That's Ethan Potchman, number 37, kicking off to Wyoming's Marcus Brigham and number 2, Richard Peace. An Alliance Bowl berth at stake for the Cougars. Also a lot at stake for the Cowboys. This is Brigham. Brigham with a nice return out near the 30-yard line. The starting quarterback for Wyoming is Josh Walworth. He's 6'3", 205-pound senior. He's the leader of the #1 passing offense in the country. That's right. This is an extremely prolific, productive offense.
And he has to throw the football with a lot of zip today, a lot of velocity on his football. That is what the coach says one of the most important things in this pass offense today against the Cougars.
Wyoming needs to win today. If they do win, they could go to either the Holiday Bowl or the Cotton Bowl. A loss, they could be done for the season. Len Sexton is the lone back. That's Marcus Harris in motion. They give it to Sexton. Dancing up between the tackles, brought down to the 33-yard line. Now look at the Chili's backs and receivers. Sexton, the running back. Marcus Harris, the record-setting receiver with 3 1,400-yard receiving seasons. Amazing, John.
Yeah, he really is, and he's playing in front of an offensive line today that blocks extremely well for the pass. Steve Cypher's there. This is his 47th consecutive start. He's only given up 5 sacks in his entire career. That allows Harris to get open.
The line as a whole has only given up 21 on the season. Sexton, the lone back. Len Sexton emptying out the backfield. Ball work over the middle, picked off. Ellison with the pinch. And BYU has the first turnover of the ball game.
Well, Marcus Harris was the intended receiver on that mark. He came across the middle. It's 2 passes over the middle, one resulting in an incompletion that floated a little bit earlier. And then this one was picked off of Harris's hands. Harris will come from your left to right, number 23, coming across the middle. And with the pressure, the ball's a little bit behind Harris, but certainly a guy of his abilities and his hands should have easily caught that football. He's gained more yards than anybody else receiving in the history of the NCAA, but he didn't get one there.
Coming back the other way now, BYU 1st and 10 from the 23. They hand it off. That's McKenzie running between the tackles, made it down to the 20-yard line. McKenzie, a 5'10", 205-pound junior. Sarkisian, number 12, 6'2", 210-pound senior. The #1 man in the nation in passing efficiency, but just 7 of 12 a week ago, John.
That's right. That's 70 yards there. That's the lowest output in over a decade for BYU. And the question today, Mark, is which team's going to show up? The one that averages 300 yards passing or the one that has averaged over 300 yards rushing in the last 3 games?
For BYU. 2 tight end formation. Sarkisian checking at the line, audibly. Yalalui open, catches it at the 15. Brought down about 2 yards shy of the first down. And here's a look at the Cougars' Chili's backs and receivers. Brian McKenzie, number 20, last week, actually a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, running for 176 yards against Utah.
And Ronnie Jenkins, the true freshman, will keep coming back in and play as well. Larry Moore was said to be too small by some other college recruiters. He comes here to BYU. He happens to be all conference. There's a lot of pro scouts taking a hard look at that man.
Ball at the 14. Sarkisian hands it off. McKenzie don't think he got it. Stopped up by Brent Liu, number 89. Pat Larson also in the vicinity to make the tackle. Liu, 6'6", 272, a senior.
Brent Liu did a great job of just cutting down from the outside. Watch here, he comes right down and slants down inside and gets inside that block of the tight end. That's not a good job by Chad Lewis, the tight end blocking there. He's got to seal Liu off, and it forces BYU into a kicking situation.
Ethan Pochman in to attempt a field goal from 30 yards out. He's 16 of 23 on the year. Make that 17 of 24. The Cougars strike first in the shadows of the Rockies. It's 3-0 when we come back. Ford Stadium. I'm Mark Jones along with John Spagnola. A lot at stake, John, for the BYU Cougars, but their head coach Lavelle Edwards hasn't mentioned that four-letter bowl word this week.
That's true. You know, I'm not even sure if they're aware right now that Texas upset Nebraska today. I mean, he's talked to his team and he said, you know, I want you to win this game. You have to take care of the business at hand. Anything beyond that, it's great. But if they don't win the game here today, you know, now they fall out of the alliance into a lower echelon bowl situation.
Yeah, the hopes of an entire conference in part resting on BYU. Pochman's kick 5 yards deep in the end zone. Brigham takes a knee. Boy, John Makovic would be pretty good in Vegas right now, rolling the dice on that 4th and short play.
Well, how about James Brown with the prediction? I mean, I haven't heard a prediction like that since Joe Namath in '69.
Well work, predicting that things would go well for the Cowboys, and they did on that play. Marcus Harris down to the 43-yard line. Another first down on that 19-yard gain.
You know, it's interesting about Harris, too. Let's watch his footwork on the sideline at the end of that play. He got that left foot. He kept it down just in time. Now, bowl game statistics do not count toward career stats, but championship games like this do. So he has that 4,400 yards. He's going to keep tacking on to the yardage throughout this game today, and those are his numbers for the year coming into this game. 1,532 yards. Quite a year he's had.
You can say that. 1 for 4 is quarterback Josh Walworth. Brigham on the draw. Fumbles it. Still loose. And out of bounds. Wyoming retaining possession.
That ball traveled 20 yards horizontally going outside from the hash mark all the way out to the sideline, and nobody could get to it.
Joe Tiller will lose a few more hairs on the top of his head as a result of that. Look at Shea Muirbrook in the middle for BYU.
He's taking on center Rob Rathman. We saw them yesterday sitting next to one another at lunch. There goes the football. There goes everybody chasing for it, and nobody gets a hand on it until it goes out of bounds.
Spencer Reed ripping it loose for the Cougars. 2nd and 5. Incomplete. Broken up nicely that time by number 30, Ben Cook, for the Cougars. The backup corner. It was intended for Harris.
Yeah, Ben Cook is they're in a nickel front right now. They have 5 defensive backs. In the football game, there was a blitz that was called. He was locked in man-to-man coverage, and that was very good man-to-man coverage. Now, keep in mind, this Wyoming offense is going to move Marcus Harris around a great deal today. They know that he's the intended receiver. BYU does. So they're going to line him up in the backfield, line him up out wide. Now he's in a trip set up at the top, the left side of the formation, but they're going to try and move him all day.
We haven't seen them run that flanker screen for him yet. Harris complete on the quick slant. A first down at BYU's 28-yard line. Ellison making the stop, but not after a 10-yard pickup by Marcus Harris, the premier receiver in the country.
Marcus Harris lined up wide. He came inside. Again, he's working on Chris Ellison, but that is perfectly executed. He's lined up wide enough with a split to work inside against man-to-man coverage. When you line up in a no backfield formation, the defense is stretched from sideline to sideline, and you open up those throwing lanes for the receivers.
And they stretch the defense again this time with 4 wideouts. Out of the backfield. Blocked. Harris. And it's whistled dead, incomplete at the 35. Harris out of the backfield, John.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they want to move him around. Here's a place where they can get him isolated on the linebacker, hopefully one-on-one. That's the case. Brad Martin had him in coverage there, number 10, but he dropped the football.
2nd down and 10. The nose of the ball of the 28 for Wyoming. Brigham in motion to the top of your screen. Walworth out pattern, incomplete, intended for David Saroff.
So Ben Cook twice now has shown very good coverage. Number 30 for BYU comes in as a nickelback. Made some big plays in the Utah game so that they could clinch the division championship and play in this game today. Ben Cook twice now in very tight coverage on this side of the field.
BYU with the #1 defense in the Western Athletic Conference. Now looking at 3rd down and 10 for Wyoming. 3 receivers to the top of your screen. Marcus Harris is the middle one. Piece is split to the bottom. Looking for Harris in traffic. Almost picked off again. Incomplete. Omar Morgan with the hit and batting it down.
It's very tight coverage. Omar Morgan is going to play in one-on-one, and this is what makes this team so good. He mirrors them. It's underneath coverage. He tips the ball away, and there's a host of players around there. Again, the ball's a little bit behind, and I talk about the footwork of Josh Walworth. You could see where that ball sailed. It was behind the receiver. He's got to step and throw that football with more velocity. His coaches have been working on that all week.
Corey Weedle trying to tie the game up at 3, and he misses. No good. The all-WAC first-team selection, who was 19 of 24 coming into the game, missing on that one. And it's still 3-0. BYU now with an opportunity to go to the Nokia Sugar Bowl. And Brian McKenzie might have sugar on his mind. A nice run for the first down. 15-yard pickup. Robbie Duncan on the tackle.
Well, the JC transfer came into this program this year. Brian McKenzie. It's a trap play right up the middle. Good block by the left guard, 59, James Johnson, to seal that and allow McKenzie to break through. He's the 2nd leading rusher in junior college last year to Corey Dillon of Washington, who had such a great year for the Huskies this year.
Good explosiveness that time. 1st and 10 from the 42. The Cougars running again. McKenzie again plowing his way over the 45, brought down to the 47-yard line. Jay Jenkins and Brian Lee making the tackle. 7 seconds remaining in the quarter. The clock still running. The BYU Cougars thinking about getting a berth in an Alliance Bowl with a win. It's 3-0 after the first 15 minutes in Las Vegas. Back in Las Vegas, it's 3-0 as we start the second quarter. BYU leading Wyoming. 2nd down and 4 for the Cougars. Sarkisian to pass. Complete over the middle to Kiala Louie down near the 40-yard line. Stopped at the 42. An 11-yard pickup and a first down for BYU. I'll look at the per-game averages, John.
Well, first of all, you know, Wyoming gives up a lot of yardage on defense, but they lead the league in the conference in sacks and in turnovers. That's why they don't really care about gross yardage. BYU, you can see 300 yards a game, but they started rushing the football a lot better. Last 3 games, they've averaged over 300 yards a game rushing.
Thanks to McKenzie and Jenkins. And that's Jenkins. Sarkisian giving him a block. Jenkins down to the 17-yard line. Another Brigham Young University first down.
And here's part of the newfound running attack that BYU has put together. It's just a little spin around. Watch Jenkins is going to get the ball and just reverse out. They take advantage of Jeff Leonard, 90. He's an aggressive inside rusher. Sarkisian's out leading the way. And Ronnie Jenkins can play football. He's a true freshman. He once ran for 619 yards in a high school game last year.
Oh, man.
On a May High School, Ventura, California. And look, here's the rushing game. The last 3 games, both of these players has averaged 300 yards now, or 300 yards total for each player, and 4 touchdowns in those last 3 games. It's a newfound rushing attack for the Cougars.
Edwards loves it, too. This is Jenkins again over the right side. Ronnie Jenkins running down to the 11-yard line, brought down by Livingston. Dustin Johnson with a nice block that time for Jenkins.
You know, it's interesting, too, about Jenkins and the red zone offense. You want to talk about 2 teams that score over 40 points a game. This is why. They get in the red zone and they score touchdowns. They get away with points. But Jenkins, you know, about the 4th or 5th day in the training camp, Lavelle Edwards said, I knew this kid was way ahead of his years, and I knew he was going to be an exciting running back for us. And they tried to bring him along slowly early, but now he's the kind of guy they want to play and they want to lean on as much as possible.
Yeah, youth being served now. McKenzie in the game for Jenkins. Johnson in motion. It's McKenzie. McKenzie needs a block. McKenzie takes it to the house. Touchdown, Cougars.
Well, that's just great running skills by Brian McKenzie. The JC transfer came into this team, and that's a great 1-2 punch these two schools have, or this team has right now in its running back. He puts a great move on Brian Lee, the strong safety. Fakes him out, and Lee came up and completely whiffed.
Kochman in for the extra point. The Cougars lead 9-0 out of the hold of Alan Boardman. Kochman nails it, and BYU leads 10-0. This run by McKenzie capping an 8-play, 72-yard drive. BYU leading 10-0, courtesy of that 11-yard touchdown run by Brian McKenzie. Lavelle Edwards telling us earlier that the turning point in their season was the Tulsa game, when they discovered that they could run the ball consistently.
You saw that 72 yards there. 50 of those yards came on the ground, Mark.
A running school now. Imagine that. This is Brigham, who takes a knee in the end zone. Wyoming goes empty. Walworth completing 64% of his passes and completing that one to Marcus Harris at the 38-yard line for a first down, a pickup of 18 yards. He got to Eddie Sampson, who pushed him out of bounds.
Harris is the Biletnikoff finalist. Works inside and back outside. This is a ball, the corner route that Walworth has done a very good job delivering as he cuts underneath Eddie Sampson. Ball floats out inside. Sampson doesn't get there in time, and neither does Chris Ellison. So he's working on two safeties there. Remember, Omar Morgan has done a nice job against them, but there he's working against two safeties as part of that formation, giving Harris an advantage.
Single back set, the draw play to Brigham. And Brigham has nowhere to go. Tackled at the 46-yard line. The inaugural championship game. Look at the mountains there in the background. Postcard shot there. Second down and 13 for Josh Walworth in Wyoming. They trail 10-0. Walworth lofts it up for Harris, and he's picked off. Lane Hale, the strong safety, came over for the pinch. And Walworth throws his second interception of the ball game.
Yeah, that's a pass that never should have been thrown by Josh Walworth. Lane Hale's drop back. He's in a safety position. And it's actually kind of a two-deep zone. There's Lane Hale. Now there's two people that are going to cover Harris right here. They want to try and keep as many people on Harris as possible. He's the release inside. Look where that ball's thrown. Back over the outside, but right to the safety. I mean, Walworth has got to read the coverage and not just look to his primary receiver here. There's Harris working one-on-one, but he escapes inside of McTire, but there's a safety over the top. Got to look for coverage downfield.
BYU, as a result, with the ball at the 26-yard line, first down and 10. Dustin Johnson, the big fullback, with a first down out to the 39-yard line. Robbie Duncan, the safety, making the tackle, a 13-yard pickup. Dustin Johnson, the 6'2", 235-pound junior. Nimble feet here, John.
Hey, he's good. He doesn't carry the ball all that much because he does a lot of blocking in that split back set for the other two running backs, but that's good running inside, and that was all made possible by this offensive line. It's the most physical, athletic offensive line that Lavelle Edwards has ever had at BYU.
Ronnie Jenkins is the deep back in the offset eye. That's Johnson in motion. They come back on the counter. Jenkins over midfield, brought down at the 49-yard line. He'll have about 2 on the play. Stuart Hansen, number 99, making the tackle for the Cowboys.
Well, this is a real upfield pressure defense that the Cowboys are playing right now. It's the kind of defense that sets you up for trap plays, but also for screen plays. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cougars here tried to screen the ball in the middle of the field. I saw them working on it in practice. You know, a lot of times you just try and set things up. There's Brock Spack working on some spit.
They're primarily a zone defense team, too, aren't they, John?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. They try and keep everything in front of them. They're two-deep zone. Brock Spack right there. We caught him in one of his less flattering moments.
Second down and 8 for BYU. Sarkisian complete over the middle, and finally brought down to the 29-yard line is Kealalui by Janae Jackson. A pickup of 20 yards and a first down for Sarkisian's Cougars.
Well, I just didn't see a lot of room there for K.O. Kealalui to catch that football. He'll be coming across from right to left, number 3 for BYU. In very tight coverage, but Sarkisian steps up, and unlike his counterpart, steps up and throws a strike there to Kealalui, right in front of Brian Lee, number 45, the strong safety.
Kealalui won the Texas A&M game on a touchdown catch on a streak route.
He's a fun kid. I watch him at practice. He likes to goof on other players. He's always running around with a big smile on his face.
There's Jenkins running around, but this time brought down behind the line of scrimmage at the 34-yard line. A nice surge that time coming from Jeff Leonard, number 90, the top sack man on the team that time, with a tackle for loss. A loss of 5 yards on the play.
Jeff Leonard leads this team in sacks. He's very physical. He works one-on-one. I saw him in practice this week working with Steve Cyphers, giving him all the battling he could and helping Cyphers become a better tackle. And Brock Spack likes that. He says, I like to get all those guys and rotate them through on Cyphers and see how they can man up against our best pass blocking tackle. But Jeff Leonard does a great job in rushing the quarterback.
Second down and 15 now for BYU. Play fake. Sarkisian backside pressure, and he's brought down to the 37-yard line by Chuck Polson. Polson getting the start today in place of number 13, Brian Brown.
Yeah, and oddly enough, the reason Polson got the start, Mark, was to stop the running game. Something that we're having a little trouble grappling with. But Polson comes in from the right side. That first play, you know, that when you get a second and long, that sets up a defense, and you can start to gamble and do a little bit more things. So back-to-back losses now by BYU.
A conspicuously low-scoring game at 10-0 with 1:45 to play in the first half. 3rd and 17 for the Cougars. Out of the backfield, Johnson catches it. He's brought down to the 29-yard line, short of the first down by about 10 yards. Wayman Livingston, number 24, in on the tackle on the play, along with Vaughn Lee. And in comes the field goal unit, led by Ethan Potchman for BYU. Potchman 1 of 2 on the day. Potchman started at Washington, a former soccer player. And like Lee Johnson, his predecessor, never played football before this year. This field goal attempt from 46 yards out. And he nails it. It's good. And he had a lot of room to spare. Potchman giving the Cougars a 13-point lead. Valvoline halftime is next with John Saunders and Todd Blackledge. 13-0 the score. Coach Joe Tiller's #1 passing offense in the country being shut out 13-0 in this WAC championship. Been an emotional week for Wyoming. Lots of hugs and tears. That guy's leaving for Purdue. Dean, who's his replacement?
Well, Mark, I've just learned that the replacement has just taken the job. Dana Dimmel will be the next head coach at the University of Wyoming. He's 34 years of age. He's been the offensive coordinator at Kansas State the past couple of years. Lee Moon, actually the athletic director at Wyoming, actually coached Dimmel back in 1985 when he was the interim coach at Kansas State. He loves his enthusiasm. He loves the fact that he was under Bill Snyder, one of the great organizers in college football. Has a lot of enthusiasm, and Dana Dimmel will be the next head coach for the University of Wyoming.
All right, Scoop Blevins with the story. Joe Tiller wants to take his entire coaching staff to Purdue. Wonder if the Big Ten is going to be ready for that passing offense. Weedle kicking off for Wyoming. BYU will be on offense to start the 3rd quarter. There's Ronnie Jenkins, the track man. Nice return out to the 33-yard line. A 29-yard return. Brian Brown making the tackle for Wyoming. Look at the halftime numbers.
Well, the thing that jumps out is the lack of productivity in the passing game from Wyoming. 366 yards a game, only 62 in the first half. You read down, you look at the turnovers right here. It's been costly as well, as it's led to 6 points off of turnovers.
Kealalui in motion to the top of your screen. 1st and 10. Sarkisian hands it off to Dustin Johnson. Johnson from Edgar, Arizona. Coaches say he's underrated. Blocks, runs those traps very well, too. There's a guy who did a good job at the banquet the other day. He was running around making us all dizzy, wasn't he? 2nd down and 8. BYU with a win today could get an at-large berth in the Bowl Alliance, possibly the Sugar Bowl. Sarkisian sacked and fumbled. Wyoming's going to take it in for the score. Jay Jenkins with the touchdown.
This is what this defense specializes in, sacks and turnovers. 34 turnovers on the year. That's the 35th there. They sack the quarterback. They create pressure up front. Boy, this team needed this kind of lift to get back into this football game.
BYU's first turnover of the day, and here's another look at the hit that caused the fumble on the play.
Yeah, it comes right through the middle there. That Jim Talich, the middle linebacker, on a stunt around the outside. Mr. Johnny on the spot, Jay Jenkins, is right there to pick it up. And who would have thought that the first points today for Wyoming would have been scored by the defense?
They finally get on the board with 12:53 to play in the 3rd period. Weedle with the extra point out of the hole to the punter, Aaron Langley. Hey, folks, you know what? It's a ball game, 13-7. The Cowpokes on the board in Las Vegas. We'll be right back. 16 Wyoming seniors playing their last game for that man, Joe Tiller, the head coach. Maybe his last game. They need a win to go to a bowl. If they lose, they stand the risk of being shut out. Ronnie Jenkins 2 yards deep out of the end zone for the Cougars. Jenkins with 4.3 speed, and if you don't know, just take a look at that. 1st and 15 for the Cougars. McKenzie. And the run is stuffed at the 23-yard line. Jenkins was there. Talich was there. Brian Lee was there.
Well, this defense certainly has given this team a lift right there. That's Matt Cox, number 76, pulling out in front. He can't get a hit on Brian Lee. Lee ducked under him and made the play. A pretty good play by the strong safety. Smart to duck under those big guys when they're coming out after you.
That's a good career decision.
It's your survival move right there.
2nd down and 14. Ball at the 23-yard line for BYU. Sarkisian's going to pass over the middle, incomplete, intended for Kealalui, and it'll be 3rd down and 14 to go. The Wyoming defense starting to surge here.
Kealalui was coming back to the football. Sarkisian threw it back over his outside area there. He's coming back on a hook pattern. There's a little bit of a miscommunication, but suddenly this BYU offense is pressing a little bit. They haven't done well in conversions today. 1 for 6 on the day on 3rd down conversions. And actually this season they've been at 44%, so they're well off what they traditionally do this year in 3rd down conversions, Mark.
3rd down stop for the Cowboys would be great for them. The screen pass. McKenzie fumbles it, and they're going to rule that he was down. And the spot of the mark is at the 31, 5 yards short of the 1st down. Joe Tiller's defense take a bow. That was a good sequence for you.
Actually, it looked like McKenzie actually was starting to stumble and fell down with the football. See, just got tripped a little bit. And the knee's down. That's no fumble from that point on.
Good call by the officials. Boardman into punt. Has a 53-yarder today, and Marcus Harris standing at his own 25. A low line drive punt that covers distance. Wow, back at the 12. Harris tackled at the 19-yard line. 56 yards on the punt. 13-7 when we come back. Wyoming quarterback Josh Walwork had a very inauspicious first half. Through 2 interceptions, BYU got 6 points as a result. So far today, 5 of 16. Undaunted, he comes out throwing, but it's incomplete at the 45-yard line, intended for who else? Marcus Harris. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. Now look at his numbers today. You know, Joe Tiller told our Dean Blevins at halftime he wanted Walwork back in the locker room as quickly as possible, and that's why he eschewed calling the timeouts.
Yeah, and I was surprised about that. They didn't run a 2-minute drill. They have a great passing offense, the best in the country. But, you know, he is a resilient player. In the Colorado State game, which they needed to get here today, he fumbled one series. He got intercepted on the 2 next series and still came back and brought him back from 24 to 13 to win that game. So he can certainly do it here today.
Harris is the middle receiver up top. And Harris going deep. He's open. Marcus Harris, slippery, and into the secondary, down to the 38-yard line. A 36-yard pickup and a 1st down. Hale making the tackle for BYU.
Well, they went right back to the very same plays on Omar Morgan. Number 1 is the best corner on this team against the best receiver for Wyoming. And that is the most difficult catch to make. Far away from down low. He hangs with it. Makes the catch right in front of the strong safety there. Lane Hale coming across. And you know, Harris isn't going to beat you with his speed, but I think he's got a future in the NFL. It's a tough possession receiver. He can catch the ball and run with it. He has extremely good balance. And he's a punt returner, too, which always helps.
Versatility, the key to his game. 1st and 10, Walwork on the slant to Sexton. He's a good receiver. Sexton with another 1st down at the 24-yard line, picking up 15 yards. The Cowboys marching on right now.
Well, this team just woke up all of a sudden, didn't it?
They sure did.
Turnover for a touchdown. Sexton split out wide as a wide receiver. No backs in the backfield. He cuts in front of Chris Ellison on the slant in. But again, when you spread an offense across the field, see how far out his split is? He's almost to the sideline. You're spreading the defense out, and that's what creates these passing lanes. And that's what this team does so well in their passing game.
Harris in motion. Here's Brigham. Weaving his way down to the 9-yard line is Marcus Brigham as Joe Tiller looks on. Brigham, as we mentioned, a little bigger than Sexton, more of a short yardage guy. Shifty, too. At 5'11", 206, just a sophomore. Sexton, the senior. So Brigham will no doubt take over that starting job next year. 2nd down and 7. The nose of the ball at the 9-yard line. Wyoming trailing by 6 points. It's 13-7. Brigham out as a receiver right now. Harris, the middle receiver, to the top of your screen. And it's Harris. Catches it. His forward progress will be marked around the 4-yard line. That's about 2 yards short of the 1st down.
And that is a tough catch for a quarterback to make, for a wide receiver to make. He knew he was going to get hit. I mean, he came into that slant pattern, and he knew that once he slanted inside, there were people waiting for him. Watch, Harris is going to slant inside here. Now just watch the people waiting for him in the middle of the field. Free safety comes inside. There's 3 people waiting for him. You still got to catch the football and say, I'm going to get hit. There's nothing I can do about it.
He came out of that pile blinking.
I think he got a finger in the eye, yeah.
3rd down and 2. Brigham, not sure he made it. Don't think that he made it. Spencer Reed, number 41, the strong side linebacker, making the tackle.
You know, and when you run a no tight end offense, sometimes a no back offense, a 1 back offense with 3-4 wide receivers, this is your Achilles heel in the offense. When you have to tighten up the formation and try and get 1 or 2 yards in the rushing game, BYU just outflanked the formation and brought more people.
And subsequently, stuffing the run, Riedel coming in for a field goal attempt from 20 yards out. He missed earlier from 45. This one a chip shot. And the Cowboys come 3 points closer to BYU. It's 13-10. Walwork has been a different quarterback this half. We'll be right back. The tattoo reads, no fear. Wyoming fearless on that last drive. Paying off with a field goal. They trail by 3 points with 6:27 to play in the 3rd quarter. Steve Sarkisian will get a crack next for BYU on offense. A win for the Cougars in this game. They increase their chances of getting an at-large berth to the Bowl Alliance. Corey Weedle kicking off from the 35. And that is Ronnie Jenkins, number 16 for the Cougars. Instead, it's James Dye. He, too, extremely dangerous. Dye contained at the 19-yard line. On 1st and 10, here's BYU with a 3-point lead. Ronnie Jenkins brought down for a loss on the play. At the 15-yard line, Jeff Leonard making the stop. This Wyoming defense has turned up the intensity meter here in the second half. They've undergone a facelift in attitude and approach. Jenkins coming out of the ball game. McKenzie coming in for him. It's 2nd down and 15 after that loss of 5.
BYU now in consecutive series has lost yardage. It's going to make it that much more difficult for them to convert the 1st down.
There's a lot of maturity on that BYU cast. Yalilua completed the 19-yard line. And speaking of maturity, here's Dean Blevins. Dean?
Well, guys, you know, looking at doing some homework on this game, a number really jumps out at you. BYU offensively, the average age of the players, 23.3 years of age. Now, that seems really old. But when you compare their average age of their 2-deep roster to Wyoming, unbelievably, it's the exact same, 22.9 years of age.
Yeah, the perception is that BYU players are often much older, but
yeah, because they go out for those 2-year missions. You're right. You know, they do have some players who are 25, 26 years old in their lineup.
Dean doing a little bit of math, covering a nice number. 3rd and 10. Johnson brought down at the 25, 5 yards short of the 1st down. Talich on the stop. Sarkisian and the offense go to the sidelines one more time. They'll have to punt.
Jim Talich line up all the way on the inside. Now, he's not known for his ability to cover and to pass. And once he makes a decision and he comes over and cuts everything off. And again, keep in mind, they're 5 yards short here right now of the 1st down. It's 4th and 5, and it's because they lost yardage on 1st down. This is really hurting the BYU offense.
Lavelle Edwards looking for a solution. Boardman punting. Averaging 42.1 coming into this contest. Marcus Harris standing on his own 30. Wow, that is a punt. Back at the 16, Harris. A clip on the play. And Boardman really, man, anything in the air that long should have a flight attendant on it. And a movie, too. A 60-yard punt, 2 yards on the return. And Boardman getting some love from his teammates. Deservingly so. One more look.
Yeah, right here, Kelly Pratt coming to downfield. Watch he gets a push and a clip in the back. And that's what's called by the officials. Boy, that flag came out quickly, didn't it?
1st and 10 from the 7 for Wyoming. I wonder why. Walwork completed the 13-yard line. Stops the clock with 20 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Sarath making the catch. Sarath's an interesting story. He was born in Iran, and his parents fled during the 1979 revolution there and settled in Westwood, California. He was 5 years old at the time, and he's affectionately known as Hollywood to his teammates.
Well, you know, he was a teammate, too, of Steve Sarkisian at El Camino Junior College. And last year, his coach Joe Tiller said, I think he pressed a little bit. He wanted to impress Sarkisian, his ex-teammate, and did not play well.
5 yards to go on 3rd down. The pass complete. 1st down and then some to Montgomery. Has the 1st down, stops the clock with 10 seconds to play in the period. A 22-yard pickup. And Joe Tiller's team offensively moving the ball here in the second half.
Yeah, this is a good changeup. We've seen so many slant ins from that 3 wide receiver set on that side of the football field. This time, Wendell Montgomery runs about 10 yards downfield. Looks like he's going to slant over the middle and then breaks back outside. And he's the heir apparent to Marcus Harris here at Wyoming. But, of course, we got to figure out what kind of offense they're going to run in the future with a new head coach.
New cast coming in next year. They go empty again. Quarterback draw, Walwork. Not the fastest quarterback in the world, but he picks up about 7 yards.
Well, he's tough, though, isn't he?
Ooh. Put his hat down into the pile. Well, that's the end of the 3rd quarter of play. We'll return with more action between Wyoming and BYU after this message and a word from our ABC stations. BYU leading by 3 as we begin the 4th quarter of play here in the land where Lady Luck is the most courted woman around. The land of chance, Las Vegas, Nevada, and the inaugural WAC championship game. BYU leading by 3. Wyoming with the ball on 2nd and 2, and that was Brigham on the carry. Close to the first down. 1st and 10 for Walwork. Going up top for Marcus Harris. Did he get in bounds? Yes, he did at the 21-yard line. They stretched the defense downfield to pick up 30 yards and a first down. Tim McTire beaten on the play.
But look how Walker has just come alive. And what a great job by Harris, giving himself room. Watch how he leaves himself room so that if he does have to go back outside to the sideline, he doesn't run out of bounds. And yes, that right foot was down just before he made that catch in front of Tim McTire.
Harris now 6 catches, 118 yards on the day. And folks, I want to remind you about something. Josh Walwork and Marcus Harris, their offense 4 times this year has come from behind in the 4th quarter to win games. BYU blitzing. Brigham running up the middle. Lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage, if that. Marcus Harris, number 23, the premier receiver in the country. Look at his numbers dating back to 1994. This guy is a monument to consistency. Look at the totals.
Oh, he sure is. And keep in mind, you know, with the 4,400 yards career-wise, his freshman year, he only caught 1 pass for 14 yards.
Amazing.
But as you said, consistent, Mark, through those last 3 years, and he's the only receiver to have 3 consecutive 1,400-yard years.
2nd and 10, wide open. Saraf with a first down at the 7-yard line. Working on McTire again. A 14-yard pickup, and it'll be 1st and goal for the Cowpokes.
David Saraf from Beverly Hills, California, from Rodeo Drive to the rodeo with the Cowboys, coming alive in this game. It's the 2nd reception. Boy, he was wide open, too. That's the play that Harris had been running previously, and now Saraf is able to get behind that secondary into the corner.
Saraf, a great compliment to number 23, Marcus Harris. Joe Tiller with a mouthful on the sidelines. Brigham, the lone back, trips to the left. Harris, the middle receiver. A waggle. Walwork into the end zone. Touchdown, Wyoming. Saraf. It was tipped and he hung on.
How about that? How about that? How this team has come back. You see Shea Muirbrook pointing to himself, saying he was the guilty guy. Initially, the quarterback wants to go to Kuhn on the right side. You see him covered. He throws it back. Muirbrook gets a hand on it and actually tips it in the direction of Saraf. I mean, that was like a hockey play where you tip the puck into the net.
Incredible concentration by Saraf. Weedle with the extra point is good. And for the first time this afternoon in this inaugural WAC championship game, Wyoming has the lead. David Saraf kept his eyes on the prize, and the Cowboys have the lead. David Saraf of Wyoming caught a touchdown pass moments ago. Steve Sarkisian, his former teammate at El Camino Junior College in California. Some bragging rights at stake maybe between those two friends, huh?
Yes, there are. Saraf came alive in that drive with 2 key receptions. Last year he did not play well in that series. He played very well as Wyoming finally takes the lead in this football game.
Weedle to kick off. This is Ronnie Jenkins. Jenkins shifty and smooth out to the 32. Look at their possessions in the second half. The fumble resulted in a touchdown for Wyoming. Sarkisian going up top, has a man, Johnson, and he couldn't squeeze it.
Boy.
Dustin Johnson was wide open. Sarkisian laid it in there, but he couldn't squeeze it. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Dustin Johnson's been catching a lot of little flat patterns and things like that. Today's isolated right here on 94. Jim Talent is working downfield. And he closes in on the football. He's wide open, and he just lets the ball slip out over his hands. Doesn't seem to get his hands around the football in time. Got right through there, hit off his shoulder pad. But that was a play that BYU was saving, getting that isolation, because they've been running a lot of short patterns so far in this game. They try and go deep one-on-one on Talich, and he drops the ball.
Yeah, when you use a play like that, you want to take advantage. That time they couldn't, though. Sarkisian, under pressure, throws behind his intended receiver, Chad Lewis, the tight end. It'll be 3rd down and 10 for BYU.
And you wonder at this point, thrown to Chad Lewis, how much they miss Tulamili in this game. Number 88, the tight end got hurt. It sounds like he has torn ligaments. He's going to be out for quite some time, but he's a big part of this offense. They like to run their 2 tight end sets, and Sarkisian has not played well in the second half. 4 of 8, just 25 yards. I think they miss Tulamili.
They sure do. For those of you joining us late, Mealy suffering a knee injury in the first quarter of the game. 3rd down and 10 for the Cougars. Sarkisian checking. Throwing. Incomplete. At the 45, they'll have to punt again. Brent Lou, number 89 for the Cowboys, laid a hit on Sarkisian as he released it.
That pocket just collapsed inside. Sarkisian, look at how things just closing around him. As you said, Brent Lou got him, but a lot of that is just coverage downfield. Even when he released that football, he had nobody open.
John, this is the 4th time in a row that the Cougar offense has gone 1-2-3 punt. Frustration for Steve Sarkisian. Boardman punting. Harris at the 22. Looking for the wall. He had a wave of blockers down that left side, and he's brought down to the 32. The Cowboys lead by 4 when we return. I want to say hello to our friends at the Mirage Hotel and the MGM Grand, in particular, Dan London.
That's Manhattan, isn't it? That's not Las Vegas.
A reasonable facsimile. Well, wall work has been the real thing here in the quarter. And as I say that, he's picked off by number 1, Omar Morgan. His 3rd interception of the day.
You know, Mark, I honestly think there were 2 receivers in that vicinity, and I think each one expected the other one to catch that football. Omar Morgan made a decision for both of them, and he went and intercepted that ball.
An incredible turn of events for Josh Walworth, who is having a fantastic second half.
Up to that point, he was 9 for 12, 140 yards and a touchdown.
Disappointment written all over his face. And now the sellout crowd of over 41,000, the highest attendance of a team sporting event in the state of Las Vegas. Witnessing this game, the crowd making some noise, in particular the Cougar fans. Sarkisian's going to pass.
Tight end's wide open.
And he hits him. Chad Lewis at the 35, 25. Lewis corralled finally at the 13-yard line by Chuck Colson. He picks up 30 yards and a Cougar first down.
Well, when you're struggling as a quarterback, it's nice to have a blown coverage. Number 96, Chad Lewis, is wide open. Nobody covering him at all. Look at him. Nobody around him at all. He catches the football and makes some big yards afterwards. For some reason, he was not accounted for by the coverage of that Wyoming secondary.
Chad Lewis, an academic All-American, All-Conference, great athlete, a former 6'10" high jumper. 1st and 10 from the 14-yard line. Out of the backfield, number 22, Atiua. Down to the 14-yard line, tackled by Brian Lee, the strong safety. Atiua, a teammate of Tulamili.
Good protection on the left side. It's John Tate, number 75, doing a great job. He's a redshirt freshman. I was talking to him the other day after practice. He goes, you know, I don't know a whole lot. I'm just a redshirt freshman, but this sure is a long season. BYU, after playing in a bowl game, will have played in 15 games this year. That's almost an NFL regular season schedule.
It's a long grind for sure. 11 and a half to play in the fourth quarter. Sarkisian has time into the end zone. Touchdown, Lewis. The Cougars will take the lead.
Chad Lewis getting a pat on the head from Steve Sarkisian, working one-on-one. It looks like he's with Jay Jenkins, number 42, the linebacker. Doesn't get a good jam at the line of scrimmage. Lewis takes his time and sells that post move, breaks out into the corner, and he's wide open for the touchdown.
Hodgman with the extra point. It's good. It's 20-17. BYU leading. Lewis, a communication major, getting his point across that time. The Cougars lead.
BYU now on top of Wyoming, 20-17. Dean Blevins with you. And did you know 32 BYU players are married? Number 32, the wife is number 32, Don Johnson. And Dustin's your husband. What's it like being married in the season for him?
Well, people think it gets in the way, but it doesn't. I keep him on the ball because I make sure he goes to bed on time, make sure he takes his protein shakes and all his creatine and all his vitamins and whatever. So I think it's better for him. I keep his priorities straight.
All right, and guys, she knows a little bit about sports. She was in the U.S. Olympic trials, a developmental event actually, in the hammer throw. All-American here.
Athletic family. Brigham watches it bounce through the back of the end zone. Josh Walwork looking for a little more comeback magic. He's done it in the past. His team trails by 3 with 11:28 to play in the fourth. Walwork wide open. Peace. Still on the loose. Still on his feet. Richard Peace. That's a man running tall. He broke 3 tackles, picking up 66 yards.
And I watched Richard Peace the last couple of weeks in their games, their last 2 football games, and he's a guy that loves to play physical football. He likes to crack down on blocks. He's wide open. Walwork gets enough time to finally identify him, but just watch the run after the catch. I mean, here's a guy who doesn't care how many people are trying to tackle him. He's just going to keep on. Look at him punish that one tackler.
He ran right over Lane Hale, number 25 of BYU there.
Yeah, right there, Lane Hale, 25. And Lane Hale likes to hit people, too. He was getting after it in the last game against Utah. Got called for some personal fouls. So, Peace, wow, brings Cowboys back into this game right away, doesn't he?
Sure did. Walwork now on the quarterback draw. Falling forward to the 13-yard line. Not sure whether that was a design play or not.
I don't know if you want him running the football that much. You know, he's got little bird legs. I saw him on the practice field with his shorts, and he's got very skinny legs. He's not that big of a kid at all.
Look at the quarterback comparison to date so far. Walwork completing half of his passes. Sarkisian well over half, 17-24. But Walwork with 3 interceptions today. All 3 of them leading to scores. 2 led to a field goal each. And the 3rd led to that last BYU touchdown. Here facing 2nd and 10. The quick toss to Sexton. Chopped down to the 14-yard line. Lane Hale, the hard-hitting strong safety, making the tackle for BYU.
So they just try and get the ball. They have Sexton lined up to the right, and they try to out-quick the defense by just pitching the ball to Sexton. See where Sexton's lined up, number 12. Now they just scooted out to him real fast. They feel like he's got the speed to run past people to the sideline. Ed Keel running him down, and Chris Ellison getting off a block to make the tackle. So it did not work that time. That was the play actually that Marcus Harris was lobbying for. He said, hey, get a pitch to me if I'm going to line up in the backfield for this game.
And it's 3rd and 10. Harris split wide to the bottom of the screen. Walwork goes into the end zone. Touchdown Cowboys. Saraf.
Well, Marcus Harris may be the Leading receiver in the history of this game, but David Saraf is making the plays in this football game, working one-on-one. Now, he's got the mismatch with the safety on him. That's Ben Cook, number 30. But I was impressed. Josh Walworth threw that football almost flat on his back. There was so much pressure on the middle.
And another lead change. Wyoming fumbles the extra point. They'll have to look into the end zone. It's complete. And it counts. They get the deuce.
Corey
Weedle with a heads-up play.
He never saw any footage of Gallagher Premium, that's for sure. Aaron Langley is the holder. He's the punter. He drops the football. Might have been a little outside. Now this is just a scramble play. But there's a great pass on the two-point conversion.
In the land where Lady Luck shines bright, right now Lady Luck shining on the Cowboys. Well, the guy sitting down, number 1 on the bench for Wyoming, grew up on Rodeo Drive in Hollywood, California. Right now, he's the man on Las Vegas Boulevard. He gave Wyoming a 25-20 lead that they hold right now. David Saraf may be the most valuable player for Wyoming so far today. Here's Weedle's kick. Jenkins at the 5. Still on his feet. Jenkins brought down at the 27-yard line.
Wow, look at that. 248 yards in the second half for Wyoming. They did wake up. BYU with just 57. That was that whole drive with Chad Lewis on his touchdown reception.
9:16 to play in the fourth quarter. 1st and 10 for the Cougars. Sarkisian incomplete. He had Jenkins matched up against a linebacker, number 36, Chuck Polson. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
You know, one thing about Sarkisian, there's always been a line of succession in quarterbacks here at BYU over the years. Gifford Nielsen, Steve Young, Ty Detmer, John Wall, some of the names that have come through here, Mark Wilson. And he came in as a JC transfer. He actually had a baseball scholarship to USC. And then he left that school. Norm Chow talking to K.O. Kealalui. But Steve Sarkisian had a baseball scholarship to USC. He left the school. Then he went to El Camino JC, and then he came here and started right out of the JC program.
Here he is back to pass on 2nd down. Sarkisian on the move. Completes it to number 22, Atuaya. And he is brought down to the 38-yard line, an 11-yard pickup and a 1st down for the Cougars. So Sarkisian with an education in improvisation that time. Stuart Hansen making the tackle on the play. 9:12 to play in the 4th quarter. And there's a player shaken up on the play. It's Hansen.
Well, you know, Sarkisian, when he came in out of junior college, he took over for John Walsh, who left early after his junior year, and it left this program in a lurch. They didn't have a quarterback. He played last year. They were 7-5, and he took a lot of pressure. He did not play real well. He certainly has improved his performance this year.
He and Walsh, very good friends. That's how he knew Walsh was leaving early and decided to come to BYU. He goes up top. This time, Dustin Johnson squeezes it. Last time on that same play, he dropped the ball when he was wide open. He beat Brian Lee for the 23-yard pickup and another Cougar 1st down.
And that's what I like about Norm Chow and the simplicity of what he does offensively. If something works, there's a Tulamili to his right there on the crutches, the tight end who was hurt in the 1st quarter. But if something works, he's going to go back to it. You know, he's going to wait till a defense takes something away. That play was open before to Johnson. Johnson dropped the ball, and he came back to it. And this time, Johnson atones for his mistake.
John, you mentioned all those former BYU quarterbacks. Chow says that if they came back today, they could call the same plays because things haven't changed all that much. Out of the shotgun on 2nd and 13. Johnson wide open. Nice move in the open field. Has the 1st down at the 23-yard line. Dustin Johnson, not known for his elusiveness, made a nice move in the open field to pick up 18 yards and a 1st down with 7:42 to play in the 4th quarter.
I'll tell you, Johnson's been a major part of this offense today. He has 7 catches for 68 yards, and I think a lot of the reason he's in there is because, again, Tulamili, who would be catching these kind of passes, has been taken out of the offense with the injuries.
Typo McGuire coming out of the ball game. A look at Johnson's numbers today. Impressive.
And he only had 23 receptions coming into the season.
They blitz, and Johnson on the carry. And Johnson is bulldog. There's a fumble. And now they're going to rule that it was down first. Well, the official blowing it dead at the 20-yard line. Robbie Duncan made the hit on the play.
Well, that's part of the rodeo right there, the way that football was ripped out. There's a rodeo in town, and that looked like a rodeo.
That was a bulldog, John.
See Duncan, number 22, coming in. And see if he rips the football out. Lee Vaughn is right there, number 36. See if that knee's down before Vaughn pulls it out. I don't know if the knee made it down, but I think another part of his body did make it down.
That's derriere.
Thank you.
I'll say it.
All right.
Speak a little French. 2nd down and 7 for the Cougars. Kealalui in motion. Backside pressure on the blitz, and they get to him. The 5th sack of the afternoon. Chuck Polson rising to the occasion today, getting the start. Polson, the understudy of Brian Brown, making a big play.
Well, Sarkisian never had a chance on this play. They're trying to get him with a little bit of a sprint action to the right side. That blitz came from the backside. He never had a chance to feel it, never had a chance to do anything about it.
John, that sets up 3rd down and 16. The ball is at the 27-yard line for BYU.
And with under 6 minutes left, you got to start thinking about getting 7 points instead of just kicking a field goal here if they don't convert, Mark.
BYU playing for an at-large Alliance Bowl berth. That's what's at stake. Under pressure, Sarkisian complete. Atuaya down to the 13-yard line. Depending on the mark, it appears as if he is just a little bit shy of the 1st down. Brian Brown made the tackle on the play, number 13 right there.
And it's going to be an interesting decision by Lavelle Edwards. Does he go for it on 4th down, or does he kick a field goal here? Sarkisian, looks like the decision's been made. He looked like he looked over, and he's shown him that there's not that many yards to go for. And the big tight end comes in, the 300-pounder, John Moala.
Moala, you mentioned big, 300 pounds. John, when he sits on a dollar bill, blood comes out of George Washington's nose.
And Lavelle Edwards told me, yeah, he could afford to lose about 20 pounds.
He is huge. They got the 1st down. McKenzie. And it's 1st and goal for the Cougars from the 6. Brian McKenzie ran over the big side of that left-right line. Cox and Anderson and Moala as well.
Actually, the defense stunts itself out of the play. You see the stun inside by number 90 at the top of the screen. They stunned themselves right out of the play. That's where defense guesses wrong and allows an offense to pick up some yardage. I mean, that was simply a defense that guessed wrong on that play.
Nose of the ball at the 6 on 1st and goal. McKenzie, the lone back. It's McKenzie. Brought down to the 3-yard line, tackled by Tolich, number 94. It'll be 2nd down and goal. In their last game, John, against Utah, BYU ran well between the tackles on that play.
They did. It's nothing more than a zone play inside. They change up with a little bit of a trap once in a while. You know, it used to be that BYU threw the football and they ran a draw trap. And that was their running game, to draw trap, because it came off a drop back motion by the quarterback. But now they do a lot of different things in the running game.
Yeah, Edwards there on the sidelines telling us earlier, you know, hey, it's nice to have one of those good speedy backs. I like this. 2nd and goal. Johnson in motion. McKenzie, boy, tough sledding between the tackles. He's tackled at the 2-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal for BYU. The tackle made by who else? Number 94, Tolich. It's 3rd and goal for the Cougars, who trail by 5 against Wyoming. An at-large Alliance Bowl berth on the line for BYU right here, right now. Atuaya, the lone back. Kealalui in motion, into the end zone, incomplete. The Cowboys hold on 3rd and goal. It's 4th and goal now.
That's a little pop pass. I saw him working on that in practice the other day. They try and get it to Chad Lewis, the tight end. Watch the contact. See if it comes. It's a little pop pass. See if it comes early. The hands are on him. I don't think you can call that with a tight end. You might call that with a wide receiver for pass interference. But you're not going to call just hands on somebody.
Jay Jenkins in on the coverage, John, number 42. And it's 4th and goal from the 2.5-yard line for Steve Sarkisian. A defining moment for both these teams. Kialalui in motion. Sarkisian still has time. He's got to throw it, and finally does. Incomplete. And the Cowboys hold and will take over on downs.
Boy, how that defense was able to keep people covered throughout that entire sequence of seconds is beyond me, but somehow Sarkisian was never able to find an open receiver. One player, though, Chad Lewis, trying to work, and now watch how open he is. This is on the backside, though. And he keeps trying to get the ball to him, And finally, as he tries to throw the ball across the field, Wyoming knocks the ball away. So it's great defense by the Cowboys.
This is a story about a team, Wyoming, who's playing for respect. Make no doubt about it. They came in here with a slight chip on their shoulders. They felt that they have been slighted since they were named to play in this game. Everyone talked about BYU. Everyone talked about the fact that they were just a speed bump on the road to a bowl for the Cougars. Well, you know what? Somebody forgot to tell the Cowboys, folks, because they have a 5-point lead with 2:46 to play in the 4th quarter. Sexton running at that time, getting a couple of yards. Bloomfield making the tackle. Both teams with timeouts remaining. Wyoming has 3 left. BYU has 2 remaining. The clock runs with 2:32 to play.
And if they do win this game, they will go to either the Cotton Bowl or the Holiday Bowl. Cotton Bowl has the first choice. If they pass, the Holiday Bowl has to take the winner of the WAC.
Lavelle Edwards watching an at-large Alliance Bowl berth fall by the wayside right now. Sexton. Cowboys electing to keep it on the ground, maybe use a little clock. Sexton over the 5 to the 6-yard line, tackled by Martin. 3rd down and 8 for Wyoming. The nose of the ball resting right over the 5-yard line, their own 5. Night has fallen here in the desert with 2:09 to play in the 4th quarter. Warwick out of his own end zone, incomplete, intended for Saraf. So the Cowboys will have to punt out of the shadows of their own goalposts. And BYU will get possession with around 2 minutes to play. That would have been a huge conversion for the Cowboys.
And Aaron Langley will have to punt this football. He would lead the nation in net punting, but he doesn't have enough punts to qualify. Let's hope he can catch this snap better than he did the extra point, which fell out of his hands but wound up being a 2-point conversion.
A big punt, John, coming up for the sophomore Aaron Langley. And there's James Dye waiting patiently for a return.
I'm wondering if they're thinking safety here. They are.
John, you called it. Langley steps out of the back of the end zone, burns a little time in the process. With 1:56 to play, they give up the deuce.
Well, now they're down 3. They get a clear punt from the 20-yard line. Oh, I'm sorry, they're up 3 in this game. A field goal would tie the game.
Joe Tiller electing to take the safety, concede the safety.
I could see the logic behind this. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it.
1:56 to play in the 4th quarter. Wyoming leads by 3. And number 37, Ethan Pochman for BYU, has a career-long field goal of 51 yards. That means they would need to get to the 34-yard line to kick a 51-yarder. Langley is punting for the Cowboys from the 20. Just moments ago, he stepped out of the back of the end zone to take a safety.
Well, we've seen some interesting calls at the end of games today. John Makovic on 4th and 1 from his own 30. Joe Tiller here taking the safety.
And a fumble. Who's got it? BYU recovers at its own 40. And a collective sigh of relief coming from the Cougars sideline. Well, you know, talk about close calls. Nate Foreman recovered it, John.
Right, he did. I'm sorry, Mark. Aaron Langley did not punt the ball well at all. That ball only went 40 yards. It should go from your foot to about 60 yards. It almost worked out because you don't have somebody that's used to fielding kickoffs or punts catching a ball there. And it dropped on the ground. But Langley, this ball should be about the 30-yard line or 25. That's why Tiller decided to take the safety and do the free kick.
Yeah, John, with no pressure on him, you'd think he would get off a better punt. Steve Sarkisian has 154 to work with. That's a lot of time for him. Out of the backfield to Ronnie Jenkins. Jenkins hand walking across the 45, brought down to the 46-yard line. The clock running with 1:47 to play in the fourth. Jay Jenkins making the tackle. BYU with one timeout remaining.
BYU has to pick up their pace a little bit offensively. Mark Atuaya checks in. They're making substitutions. Taking a lot of time calling this play.
As 2nd and 5, split back. Sarkisian's going to pass under pressure. Gets it away complete to Kealalulu. And he's brought down at near the 41-yard line by Robbie Duncan, a 13-yard pickup. They'll stop the clock with 1:20 to play and move the sticks for the first down. The ball's at the 41. Remember, they'd have to get to the 34 for a 51-yard field goal by Ethan Pochman. That's his career long. Keep that in mind. Single back set this time. 3 wideouts for the Cougars. Atuaya the lone back. Sarkisian underneath, incomplete for Kaipo McGuire. And it stops the clock with 1:13 to play.
That's great coverage all the way across the field by Brian Brown. Really nice job. Brian Brown, number 13. He's a linebacker running with Kaipo McGuire all the way from the outside of the field across the middle. Keep in mind, Brown didn't play today or didn't start today because they wanted to stop the run. Now he's in obvious passing situations.
This Wyoming defense bends but does not break that often. Give up a lot of yards, but they do make big plays. 2nd down and 10 for the Cougars from the 41. Sarkisian, lots of real estate ahead of him, still on his feet. Down to the 28-yard line, a first down with 1:04 to play. They stop the clock. Jenkins made the stop. 13 yards on the first down for Sarkisian. Here's a guy who came in much more confident this year. He's a different quarterback. He learned the system. He learned the nuances that Lavelle Edwards had out there for him, and it's paid off. The #1 quarterback in the nation in pass efficiency at work. 53 seconds to play. Has time. Nobody open. Completes it. Atuaya brought down to the 13-yard line.
How about Atuaya? Everybody's expecting him to run out of bounds. He dips back inside and almost slips through into the end zone.
17 yards on the gain. Brown making the tackle. Hey, forget about field goal. They might be thinking touchdown right now, John.
Yeah, they're going to go for the touchdown now. They're certainly in good enough position where the field goal is almost a given. Now they can take some chances and go into the end zone. But you got to be happy for Mark Atuaya. Here's a guy who's been replaced by Brian McKenzie. Ronnie Jenkins, he was a starter here as a running back, and he comes up with a very big play in this football game.
38 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. BYU trailing by a field goal. 1st and 10. An Alliance Bowl berth on the line for Sarkisian. He wants to pass. Has a man. Atuaya brought down at the 8-yard line.
Boy, that was a pick play. Kaipo McGuire came inside. The ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Clock running with 22 seconds to play. BYU has 1 timeout remaining. Wyoming doesn't have any. Split backs. Sarkisian almost sacked. Atuaya makes the catch, and he's down at the 3-yard line.
We got to call timeout.
1 second to go. Oh, did they wait?
Yeah, Sarkisian spent a lot of time running around. Then they forgot about the clock. And Atawaya could have scored a touchdown, too. I think they were worried about that.
Okay, it's decision time for Lavelle Edwards.
Right there, there's a touchdown. If Atawaya can catch that thing. But he goes down on the ground. Did he catch it? He caught it with one hand, so it keeps the clock going.
Caught it while on the ground.
And Kaipo McGuire, number 80, is the only alert Cougar to get that timeout registered. Otherwise, that would have been an awful situation for BYU.
Kochman in for the field goal attempt. This would tie the game up. The attempt coming from 20 yards out. He's missed one today. He's made two, one from 30, one from 46, and this one is right through the pipes. We're tied, and we will go into overtime. It's 25 apiece.
Somehow, some way, you just knew it was going to wind up like this.
Much to the chagrin and dismay of Joe Tiller. Kochman. They get the hold down and the snap down. Maybe the most important 20-yarder he's ever made. You can't leave now. The game's just begun. 25 all. Overtime coming up. The Wyoming Cowboys and the BYU Cougars tied at 25 apiece after 60 minutes of play. We are going into overtime. There's a look at the quarterback for the Cowboys, Josh Walwork. Walwork sacked at the 30. Henry Bloomfield, who plays the game at 100 miles per hour, says, raise the roof. A huge sack for the Cougar defense.
Boy, that starts to affect the strategy of Wyoming when you have a sack and you get backed up. Bloomfield, number 91, working one-on-one with 51 right there. Jeff Smith just beats him with a head fake inside and comes outside and makes the sack. So now it's 2nd and 15. Now, the Cowboys can make the first down. The game is played in overtime like a normal game. You can make first downs, but certainly they want to try and get a first down or at least get in better field goal position now.
Got to get to the 15. 2nd and 15. The quick slant almost picked off. Number 30, Ben Cook, who's played a fine game tonight. Almost had the pick, but he slipped on the carpet. It'll be 3rd down and 15 for Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming's in trouble here now because they have to kick something like a 46-yard field goal, 47-yard field goal to get some points if they don't make any yards here. And they have to decide just what they want to do, if they want to try and get a first down or just get some yardage here to get in better field goal position.
Right now, John, they have the ball in the middle of the field at the 30. Walwork to the sideline. Incomplete at the 23. Darren Oncourt couldn't hang on. And in comes the Cowboy field goal unit.
They tried. Bromster and Court on the right side here. They weren't going for the first down. They were just trying to get in better field goal position, but he could not hold on to the football. So this sets up a long field goal situation for the Cowboys.
Corey Weedle from 47 yards out. He's made one from 20, missed one from 45. He's already won a game for them this year in overtime. And he pushes it to the left. No good. BYU now will be on offense. If they score, they win it.
It's that simple. They get the ball on the 25-yard line now on offense. And that's what you want to do when you win that coin toss in overtime. You want to be on defense first because then you have to figure out what it is you have to match. With this missed field goal right here, BYU simply needs 3 points now to win this football game.
The first team all-WAC selection missing by that much. Johnson and McKenzie in the offset eye for the Cougars. 1st and 10 from the 25. It's McKenzie over the left side of the line, running off tackle, gaining 5 yards, running over John Tate down to the 20. Pat Larson, number 92, making the tackle for the Cowboys. It'll be 2nd down and 5 to go.
And it's not a hurry-up situation for BYU. Joe Tiller's got to be rethinking that whole strategy now, taking the safety allowing his team now. They were up 5. At that point, they were up 3. Then they punted the free kick after the safety. BYU came down, tied it up. And now Wyoming gets shut out so far in the first period of overtime, and BYU is in a position to win this game.
Sarkisian hands it off to McKenzie. Bouncing it outside. McKenzie about 2 yards short of the first down at the 17.
3rd down and 1 to go for BYU. Now look at the #1 passer in the nation in pass efficiency, Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, but I bet they run left here.
McKenzie. Close to the first down. Stopped right at the marker near the 15.
The thinking there, Mark, with the ball in the right hash is just either get the first down or get the ball more in the middle of the field for their field goal kicker. Ethan Pochman, and Pochman stepping on the field now to win this football game.
In comes the field goal unit.
All eyes focused on that man, place kicker Ethan Pochman for the win. He's 3 of 4 on the day. He's made one from 30, 46, and 20 yards out. He's missed one from 43. This attempt coming from 32 yards out. Out of the hold of Alan Boardman. It's over. The Cougars win it. LaVell Edwards has his 18th WAC title.
What a finish for Dean Blevins and John Spagnola. I'm Mark Jones. The SEC championship is next.